This podcast will contain spoilers for all aired episodes of HBO's Game of Thrones and all published books in George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series.
Oh god, don't Google giant vagina monsters.
Greg, what did you think was going to happen?
Just curious.
Welcome to the Vassals of Kingsgrave DragonCast edition. We're back this week to review the 7th episode of Game of Thrones Season 5, The Gift. My name is Zach, also known as Alias in the podcast of Ice and Fire forums, and joining me for this review we have...
Hello, this is Alex, known as LuckyCharms on the forums.
This is Adam, also known as drownedsnow.
I'm Paul, known as Plight.
I'm Matt, known as Varley.
This is Greg, Claudiusthefool on the forums.
This is Bing, Shoeshiner on the forums.
This is Steven, SJLee on the forums.
And there we go. So let us go ahead and jump in for this 7th episode of Game of Thrones. Interesting episode. Looking forward to hearing what you guys thought. Starting with you, Alex. What did you think?
I believe I gave it a 3 on the forums, but
you said that you were quitting the show.
I know that's a pretty high mark.
So let's explain.
Jumping off the plane.
Let's see how you see what made you feel that.
Well, it wasn't like an empirically bad episode, but I'm just too exasperated to continue. I don't know. It's very complicated, but yeah.
You gotta finish the season.
No, I don't think I can.
What did you think, Adam?
It was better than last week, you know? I don't know. I'll give it, I don't know, I guess I'll give it a 3. Kind of a non-committal 3. It was all right. There were some really good moments, but yeah, I'm still not over last week.
The non-committal 3. All right. What did you think, Paul?
I'm going to go with a 3.7. 7 for the 7th episode, 7 for the 7-pointed star.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I really loved the Cersei stuff. A lot of the other stuff was interesting, if not phenomenal. Still some bummer parts, but going with that.
And you, Matt?
I gave it a 4.5 on the forums, but I'll give it a 4.25 here. I've basically written off the Dorne story as nonsense, so I'm not even grading that.
Fair enough.
That's how it works in school,
It's
right?
like you accidentally changed the channel and you're stuck in this weird world for a few minutes.
But King's Landing was great. I loved it. The lull was a little weird, but whatever. And the Winterfell thing, I don't see that getting any better until it actually gets better. But I shouldn't say I like it, but it's interesting that what's going on up there.
Sure. How about you, Greg?
I gave it a 3.5. I mean, there were just so many parts of it that I just abhorred and couldn't stand, and then parts of it that I was just so happy to have just a little line or one sentence. But just seeing Sansa bruised and knowing how psychologically she's messed up from being raped, night after night by Ramsay, really kind of pales, and I can't really enjoy the rest of it so much. But having Bronn sing the end of The Dornishman's Wife was awesome until Tyene Boobs McGee kind of saved her with the Dr. Evil antidote, which completely made me laugh out loud. I was like, they're not doing the antidote. Oh, they're doing the antidote.
I have the answer.
Ramsay's evil. I went with boobs. It's a little more tasteful, Paul, but it's all right.
Show.
Having Gilly almost raped also took it down a little bit, but I gave 2 lemon cakes for Maester Aemon's. The way they handle his death was really just beautifully shot, and the references to Egg and his final line. And also Stannis has a beard now, so he gets +1 for that, so 3.5.
Sure. Beards are worth a lemon cake.
Stannis is supposed to have a beard.
Yeah, true.
I'm not just giving these away for any beards.
Of course. What did you think, Bing?
Yeah, 3. I was kind of bored by this episode, to be honest. Not much really happened. I mean, at the end, I guess Cersei got thrown into jail. That's a big deal. But a lot of the stuff just didn't make any impression on me whatsoever. So, I mean, and the stuff that's disgusting is disgusting, but it's also not just the boring kind of disgusting and not the completely revolting type of disgusting now.
I gotcha. How about you, Steven?
So I think my issue with it is if you look at it in the context of of last week's episode, that this episode really lands with a dull thud.
Okay.
I was hoping that they would shine a little bit of light of what they intend to do, and instead they doubled down. I read a couple of articles. Zach, you shared one, I think, from the Washington Post about how Game of Thrones has always been about sexual violence. But the show really doubled down on that, where Mikal last week was talking about how come every female character in the show has to be threatened with sexual violence, and then we have Gilly, a significant portion of her character arc in this episode is about her being threatened with rape, right? I felt the scene with Tyene was pretty exploitative and not very interesting, and also just kind of a terrible scene in general. I like Gilly and Sam. I think they're like this sweet component to the Game of Thrones show that's just really pleasant to watch, especially in contrast to everything else. There were definitely good parts of the episode. I love the High Sparrow, but overall I'd probably give the episode like a 2.5.
Okay. It's interesting to hear this kind of lukewarm reaction, because I think a lot of people actually were pretty big fans of this episode from what I'm seeing. Or at least they thought of it as a big bounce back from last week. I wouldn't really go that far personally, though. I did enjoy lots of the episode. I did really like everything in King's Landing, and I thought that even though the whole scene, we'll get into this, in Dorne was odd and you question why it exists, I thought that in terms of the Sand Snake characters, in a very small way, it was kind of a bounce back for them. Just seeing them acting more human and not all hyper, like, oh, we'll kill everybody. Yeah, I thought for me it still was a fairly mediocre episode, so I'd give it like a 3.5, and there are definitely quibbles, but there was a lot of good stuff too, so for the most part I think I enjoyed it. But let's go ahead and jump in, starting with the Wall, where we first get this little bit with Jon and Tormund gearing up to head out for Hardhome. Alistair Thorne says that this is a bad idea, but Jon, he's like, I'll take that into consideration, and completely ignores him. And then Sam says farewell to Jon as well, but also handing off some dragonglass. Surely that won't be important.
I really liked Tormund's pose to Alistair Thorne. He's like, come at me, bro. What you got?
Yeah.
When he gets his handcuffs off. And also, I wish they would give Ollie like a cloak or something. He's just sitting out there in his shirt. He looks cold.
There are four reaction shots of him just looking pissed.
Yeah.
Maybe they're foreshadowing something. I don't know.
It's entirely possible. We'll see. And I'd love to talk about this, because it's just like the whole mechanics of it in the show I'm really concerned about, because of course they're probably setting up for the watch. I think we assume, or at least I assume, that's going to happen at the end of this season. Maybe not. Maybe it's going to happen later. But it just feels like it's going to happen too fast. There's not going to be enough justification for it. Like if it's just Ollie like going to kill him because he's mad at him about the wildlings, like it doesn't have the same impact for me. And I'm worried it's going to be the same kind of thing with the Lord Commander election, where it just doesn't have that same blow, and people are going to be pissed. Like, why would they kill Jon? And they're going to be saying stuff like, oh, it's for shock value. They needed a big kill. Like that kind of thing, and I'm concerned about that.
I think that the TV show might be able to get away with it from simple scale. Like if they're able to do some sort of camera shot where thousands of wildlings are like passing through gates, it might give the sense of like, oh no, Jon, this is a terrible decision. What have you done? That maybe isn't easy to communicate in the book form.
Sure. The thing is, in the book, the thing that the straw that breaks the camel's back, as far as I'm aware, is that he decides to break his vows in another way by marching to Winterfell to deal with Ramsay, and I don't know if they're going to do that here. Maybe they are, because we do get Ramsay talking some Jon Snow, so it's possible.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get to actually have that, but I think they have to have the for the watch this season. That seems what they're building towards, and I think they rushed through the Lord Commander stuff because that will give them time to play out the rest of it. Yeah. But yeah, at this point, it's not so much who's going to stab Jon. We should be like thinking of who's not going to stab Jon, because he doesn't get a smile from anybody.
All 10 guys that are left.
I really don't think it will happen this season, because they're about all right, $5. No, just because
confidence.
Oh boy. All right, 1,000. Let's do this.
I don't know how to negotiate.
Witness.
No, just because they have to go to Hardhome and they have to come back, and then Jon has to get stabbed. Like in episode 10?
They casted Bowen Marsh, and did he go with Jon?
No, as far as I know, I mean, maybe there has to be a few other people.
With him.
Right, yeah, there's a few other people with him, but I don't think that it was too many.
Okay.
No, they showed, because Bowen Marsh was like standing by Sir Alistair when they marched
okay,
out.
never mind.
They still haven't called him Bowen Marsh, so I don't know.
No.
It's just that other guy who's kind of in charge of something.
Yeah, I have to assume it's probably Ollie, given how much attention he's getting, like Alex was saying. We'll see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen this season. I'm concerned about it. I assume in terms of timing with Hardhome, I think that's all going to happen next episode. I think a lot of the next episode is going to be devoted to that, so...
Well,
the next episode is
called Hardhome, yeah, so...
Yes.
Yeah.
I suspect that'll be done with by then, so I think there is time for him to get back and for whatever to happen.
You think it's going to be like a one and done, like they're in and out an episode, like
I think
like
so.
when they went to Craster's, yeah.
My just random prediction is that, especially given the stuff with the Dragon Glass, that others of some sort are going to show up and force them out of there.
And I also think this pretty much proves as much as I think it is that we're not going to get the Battle of Ice this season, because if we're having this major battle at Hardhome, then there's just not enough time for it to go back down south to
I don't think we're getting
Winterfell.
that.
And plus, Stannis is stuck in snow, so I don't think we're getting either. I think that's going to be our big battle. It's going to be Hardhome, and it's going to be Dad's Next. That's the two big.
So I guess we can hope we get that in the books first.
Well,
They could switch up their formula and do it in episode 8 instead of episode 9 to have the big thing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We can have two big things, and then end it with Jon.
They could just pull like the Fist of the First Men, where the season finale is maybe the battle's about to happen, and then start a next season. Ooh, that was a big battle, guys! Right?
That's pretty crazy, huh?
Man, so much money we saved.
Yeah.
Well,
let's
I hope not, but...
Yeah. Let's go ahead and move to the next one we get, which is Maester Aemon's deathbed, where he has Sam and Gilly there staying with him in his final hours. And we get the thing that I think we were all hoping for, at least I was.
Egg.
Some egg. Yeah.
I was old.
Yeah, egg. I dreamed that
all we
I was
wanted.
old. Which was really nice.
I actually sighed out loud. I went, "Aw,
They did it.
they did it."
And it's cool because, as far as I'm concerned, this is pretty much purely for book readers giving this much attention, right? Like, there's no other reason to do this, especially, I mean, even exclusively, well, I guess maybe not exclusively, but also for people that have read Dunk and Egg, which is an even smaller sample size.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they've mentioned Duncan the Tall before.
Yeah, true.
Very quickly, and I guess, I mean, this is just a throwaway line. And I don't know if Aegon Targaryen is going to be important at all for the rest of the story.
Yeah.
He's the only guy that died old and by natural causes.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
I think that's kind of part of the reason they did it, is they wanted to have this sort of like just nice, like peaceful kind of death thing juxtaposed with the rest of the series, which is all horrible, violent, terribleness. And I think that was part of their intention, why they decided to give it so much.
So what do you think about him, loving the baby and telling them to go south?
Well, it seems like with this and some of the stuff we were getting in earlier episodes, it seems like we are indeed going to get Sam and Gilly going to Old Town next season, I guess. Not this one, but it's gonna happen. We were kind of convinced earlier on in the season they wouldn't do it.
We might not get them in Bravos, but we'll probably get them.
Yeah, probably more direct.
Getting to Old Town.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the King's Road. It just goes straight there, and there's
just shoot down there.
They'll pass Brienne and Pod on the way there. They'll be fine.
Yeah, no problem.
Or Gendry.
Yeah.
They're rolling.
Gendry will pick them up, take them down.
I wonder if they'll end up in Old Town, because they haven't done anything to seed that plot at all, really.
Yeah, maybe they'll just go straight to what's it called? Sam's land. What is that?
Hornhill.
Hornhill.
Yes. Tarly place. Maybe they will do that. But I think the Old Town part's kind of important, and we do get, at least we know that there's no maester on the wall, so maybe they'll seed that in somewhere, him being trained.
Yeah, I just wonder, because the whole Greyjoy plot seems to be, it's a significant portion of the middle books in the series, and it's completely gone now from the show as far as we can tell.
Did we...
Yeah, time out.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can talk about this, so if you guys don't mind.
It's coming back.
There have been some rumors of casting for next season, and some of it does seem to show that we are getting both these things, Old Town and the Greyjoy plot.
My ignorance revealed.
There's been whispers that Gemma Whalen is going to be in episode 10, so that we may have some Greyjoys in the season finale.
Oh, this season? Mm-hmm. That's Yara?
Yeah.
It's going to be a really stupid scene like we had back in, I guess, season 2 with her and Balon, like, I'm going to go rescue Theon again.
No.
She has to row all the way around a fucking continent, so it would make sense that it took her 12 episodes to get back to Pike.
We find out that's where Gendry's been.
I'm going to bring the next 50 best killers from the
Just reload.
The ones that are
going to bring some dog this time.
It won't actually be Yara. It'll be Arya wearing her skin as a faceless man to kill Balon.
Ooh, I like
well,
that.
yeah, I think the reason why they might have partially pushed some of this stuff back is because they want to put Arya, newly trained Arya, into some of this action. Maybe this will be their way of putting her back into Westeros.
Put Arya in Old Town, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because I mean, when was the last time we did anything with Balon on the show? I mean, even really had him mentioned. It's been quite a while.
Well, they just mentioned it.
Yeah.
I think the last time he shows up is when Yar decides to go off. End of season 3.
Nice catch there, Bing.
Mm-hmm.
We have The next day, Sam giving the eulogy for Aemon, who has now passed. He's burned on a pyre. Just very nice, cool moment. All the Night's Watch light parts of the pyre. But then we get this comment from Alistair to Sam that he is running out of friends, and this is a thing to be concerned about, which is immediately followed up on in the next scene we get on the wall, where Gilly is in the mess hall place scouring a bowl again. I don't know what she's doing in there.
Laundry. I think she was doing laundry.
Laundry, yes. And she and two Night's Watchmen approach. They attack her. Sam shows up to protect her, but he is brutally beaten, unable to overcome them, and then Ghost arrives to scare them away.
The scene with Sir Alistair, last season, it seemed like they almost went out of their way to build him back up in the viewer's eyes. He's the guy defending the wall. He had some really kick-ass moments, and I was like, yeah, I get it. He doesn't like John, but he put his differences aside, and they worked together. And now, just the second he's gone, it's just right back to old Sir Alistair.
Well, I mean, you can read it that way, but I kind of also thought it was watch out, Sam. Keep watch your back, kind of thing. And I thought that might.
Oh, you don't think he was one of those guys who was not one of his friends? Because I thought that was.
He's not his friend, but I don't think he's directly antagonistic. I don't know.
I think he would have been like Sir Piggy, watch your back, or something like that.
Yeah, it's in this weird middle ground of is it a threat or is it just Sir Alistair being a dick?
Oh, I took it much more threatening. I hope it's not, though. I'll be happy to be wrong about that.
So you were thinking he sent those guys, or he just?
Oh no, but I just thought he's officially involved in whatever's going on against John, and Sam is definitely on the other side of that. Sam does have no other friends. Who else does he have? The Ravens?
I didn't take it as big as a threat, you don't have any friends to protect you. I'm not going to do anything to you, but everyone that perceives that you actually up-jump them because of Jon Snow, they're going to go after you.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like Sam's weakness and reliance on other people to fight his battles for him, so he's kind of you got to toughen up, and that's what it's all about.
And that he does. He definitely gets, that moment to stand tall. Not that it really
and have someone else fight the battle for him.
Yeah.
He can take a punch. He can take 7 punches.
Incredibly, I felt like he should have been more injured.
Yeah, didn't lose a tooth. I'm pretty sure.
All that
was
fat
pretty
is
tough to
useful for
watch,
something.
So yeah, we do get this scene here with Gilly, being attacked, and obviously we've kind of voiced a little bit of our, discontent with that idea earlier. Any more thoughts on this?
So I watch a lot of bad anime made during the 80s and 90s, and this is a very standard cliche.
Yeah, two people coming together from trauma.
Yeah. And why is Game of Thrones supposedly one of the best TV shows with some of the best writers repeating a cliche from bad 80s and 90s anime? And it's not just bad 80s and 90s anime; it's bad fiction.
Yeah, that's really my big problem with it, right? Is that it's just so basic and just not interesting writing. I think that really is what kills it for me. And I have to wonder, why do they have to do this now? Why do they have to set up, the Sam-Gilly relationship now? There's no real, reason in the plot that this needs to happen right now, and they just they throw it in there for this, and it's just not an interesting way of doing it.
But again, can I point out that we're okay with Gilly being raped by her father and impregnated by him?
Not okay. I'm on the record, not okay with that.
Yeah, not okay with that, but I think that in terms of people, being upset about the idea of her immediately, initiating relations with Sam after this traumatic thing, is that she is so desensitized because of who she is, right?
And I think so too. And I think a lot of people miss that. Even show watchers, they should have known that she was abused. And it's not good, but she's been abused her entire life by her own father. She got impregnated by her own father. And I feel like these two guys trying to mess with her, she was handling herself better than anyone else in the show.
Sure, but this is not about her reaction specifically as inventing this whole plot thread just so we can get, I guess, Sam and Gilly in bed. It's it's not so much how the character reacted and so much like that. Rape didn't even happen here, really. So I guess, but it's
there's the overtones of they're about to rape her.
Yeah. And it's just the story. This sort of story element is boring and completely cliched, and they really didn't need to resort to these sort of story to move the plot along. And not appalled that this exists. I just rolled my eyes.
Yeah, I did too.
Snake. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, that's a different sort of ridiculous.
The next scene, Gilly takes Sam to some place and cleans up his wounds, and yeah, vows are broken as we do get this moment. No pink mast was shown. I don't know how we feel about that.
Well, no vows were broken either. He didn't take him to wife or give her a child.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was his
Balls.
argument.
And everyone's breaking the vows these days. It's the new cool thing. So
I also don't think it's that advisable after that traumatic head injury. I don't think you're supposed to do any kind of exertions or any kind of.
Well, he wasn't really doing
I
much
was worried
exerting.
for
I
his
don't
health.
think. I think that he
She
was.
had to make sure he didn't fall asleep, though, so she just keep
Yeah.
Keeping him awake.
I don't know if that worked out.
But then he's gonna be tired.
Yeah.
afterwards.
Oh my.
They don't have the NFL concussion protocols at the wall.
No, apparently not.
I don't know. I had a lot of issues with these scenes. One, I think they were just rushed together. Even if they separated them with some indication of time that Gilly came to Sam after he was healed a little bit, it might have not felt so abrupt, so jarring.
Mm.
I think there is... Matt, I think you raise a valid point that Gilly might be really desensitized, but at the same time, the other argument is sex to her is a traumatic experience. So
Yeah.
kind of a healthy sexual relationship will be very challenging for her. And obviously, Sam is kind of a safe partner. At least she feels safe with him. So maybe you can rationalize it. But I think I endorse Bing's opinion that it's just kind of sloppy and cliche.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that could have made it more cliche is if the wolf didn't save the day. You know, if it's like Sam has defended her and now this is his reward. It's like,
Yeah.
so she wasn't. Her sexuality wasn't stolen from her. It was earned by another man. You know, there's like all sorts of really problematic
Yeah.
layers to these scenes.
That makes sense. Yeah, but I do think that if you're going to go for the rationalizing point of view, you can, because this has been building for a while, right? They've been together for like 3 seasons or 2
Right.
seasons.
This is possibly the easiest pairing to make sense of that.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't even think you need this.
Right.
You can just happen at
Exactly.
this point, and
Exactly.
it would just be natural to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could have had the scene where Gilly was comforting Sam because he was upset about Maester Aemon, which would make a lot of sense, and then kind of use that cliche instead. You don't have to have anything about the violence.
Well, in the books, they use that cliche.
Yeah.
You know? And that
But
was
in the
fun.
books, they make it like a religious thing almost, where the captain's like, you have to do this. It's what we do. So
This just felt kind of like checking something off their list.
Yeah, for sure.
This sort of same sort of thing happens in a horrible movie called Wicked City, made during the late 80s and 90s, and Game of Thrones is copying story threads from Wicked City, which also features giant vagina monsters coming to life. Then I don't know what else to say.
Well, maybe we'll get some giant vagina monsters soon in the show.
That would be cool.
You haven't seen the latest art for the White Walkers yet, clearly.
Let's go ahead and move to Winterfell, where we get.
oh god, don't Google giant vagina monsters.
Greg, what did you think was gonna happen?
It's just curious, but I think it was mostly like stuff from Tremors, but I just saw it for a split second and then I went,
What did you think was going to happen?
That's tense. I don't know, but you can't just drop that bomb and not. Someone's gonna look, right?
Hashtag Greg.
Don't
Stannis-
Google
Stannis-
vagina
Stannis-
monsters. Hashtag Greg.
I'm not even sorry.
Oh, that was great.
Let us move to Winterfell, where we have lots of snow, just a whole bunch of it, and we have Theon bringing some food to Sansa. We see Sansa in her bed, badly bruised, and she gets up as she hears Theon. She asks him for help. Theon is reluctant, but he seems to be convinced. It feels that way anyway, and he takes the candle she gives him to light at the broken tower. But as he travels there, it turns out he's not going there at all. He's going instead to visit Ramsay. I was actually confused by kind of like the editing of this, and I think it was intentional. Like, I thought that for some reason Ramsay was in the broken tower,
Yeah,
like
so
he
did
caught him.
Me too.
Yeah, but no, that's
My
not what
girlfriend's
happened.
like, no, he brought it to Ramsay in his tower. I was like, no, he didn't. Shut up.
So, but yeah, we get Reek here. He's not changed. He's not gotten any better. He's not become Theon again, as we were kind of thinking might happen, at least so far.
Yeah,
So,
I think I would have been disappointed if
overnight
he actually
conversion.
just changed so fast. I mean, the changes that he went through with the shit that was done to him, that you don't just bounce back from that. And it's going to be at least 2 episodes, instead
at
of
least
1.
2.
Yeah, I mean, you would have been disappointed, and I mean, I would have too. But would you have been surprised given what the
No,
show
not at all.
was?
I feel like since the inevitable result has to be Sansa escaping, they're trying to keep up the Game of Thrones image of, like, hopelessness and, like, this is not going to work out as much as they possibly can before they get to that point. Because that has to be the end result, right? Like, they can't just have her be here and stuck here, right?
Well, we don't know.
Yeah.
Didn't think she'd be raped either, but...
As Mikal's point last episode, that Sansa basically gets a reset as a character. I think you do see that in this episode a little bit, in that she's seeking for someone to be rescued. And I'm hoping that, you know, now that she's realized Theon has failed her and the older woman, which we'll get to in a minute, you know, is no longer available to help her either, that she has to do something herself. That's where I'm hoping this is building. So we'll kind of see, like, fast forward character growth on her.
Well,
And
she's still digging Ramsay like she did Joffrey. It's like, you were a bastard. I was legitimized by another bastard. And then he has this like great act line of like hate, and then he's just like, let me show you something.
So yeah, we do get that next scene where she goes to Ramsay out on the battlements. He asks her there because of course he found out about the thing, and he shows her the flayed woman, which is horrible. But yeah, we do get a bit of this Sansa talking back to Ramsay. So she's not
And
broken.
she grabbed that
certainly.
corkscrew.
Yeah.
And she grabs the corkscrew. The most telltale thing I think I've seen on the show. Like, put it in her inventory for later. I wonder.
Mouse over it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Does that make you nervous that, you know, you're going to have Brienne, Pod, Theon all the same, and we know that only one of them is probably going to rescue Sansa? So do you think that that's going to be the end of, you know, Brienne dying in defense of Sansa, or maybe Pod getting in the middle? But I don't see all four of them. Yeah, I don't see all four of them getting out to Stannis' camp or wherever they escape to.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't see that either.
I mean, they've kind of been building up that Brienne is going to give her life for Sansa. So.
I actually see Ramsay wearing an eye patch pretty soon.
Ooh.
And turning into Euron?
Possibly.
Then he goes and gets a drown.
Sansa gouges out his eye, and he's like, I need to be a pirate now.
I mean, who of that group would we want to live? Like, let's say Sansa escapes and only one of them makes it out with her. Like, who's best served?
The answer is Pod.
Yeah,
God.
Good answer.
Interesting thing with the whole Brienne situation is that she wants to kill Stannis, right? So if they're taking her to Stannis' camp, which I don't think the plan is, but if they somehow end up needing to do that, that could be what's going to happen next with that.
I feel like they've set up the Brienne versus Stannis thing too much to actually just kill her with Ramsay randomly. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it seems more likely if they want to throw someone away, they would throw Pod away.
Sorry.
It is his plight.
It is. I thought it was a pretty good follow from what happened last episode. I don't think it was too bad.
I think they just it goes back to the fact that the only way they can show Sansa's strength is to have her throw cutting remarks back at other people.
Sure.
Yeah,
It's a tricky situation, though, right? Because what else can she do? Like, she doesn't have a lot of options.
She tried to manipulate Theon and force him to do something, but it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which that scene was really great, I thought. Her badgering Theon.
That was better.
Yeah.
But
I think the scene where Theon finally will help her is when it has to be after he tells her that, hey, I didn't actually kill your brothers, they're alive, and that could still bring them together. But until he's safe enough to trust her with that, I don't think we can expect Reek to.
Well, I feel like until that comes out, somehow he's still Reek, right? Like,
and who else is going to bring that out? I mean, Ramsay's not going to tell anyone that unless, I mean, they're the only ones who know, right?
I wonder if they'll invert the books and have Sansa escape and take Theon with her, rather than the other way around. Like, Theon takes...
Wow.
Takes.
Why would she want to at this point?
Well, that's easy. If he knows that Bran and Rickon are alive, she's like, well, people need to know he's the proof. You know what I mean? Like, that would be her motivation for trying to get him out of there.
That's kind of how I see it going down, and then maybe they run into Brienne in the winter town below Winterfell. Maybe.
So he plays like the Davos role, where he knows that there's a Stark heir.
Well,
because Davos is with Stannis right now. So.
Yeah, but. He plays the Theon role, but then maybe
Brienne plays the Davos role and goes to wherever Rickon is.
Ooh, that's cool. I like
Sansa
that.
gives her that order. It's like, this is how you can protect me. Find my brother.
Oh, I could like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
I like
does the
that.
I like
actual
how we're
demo
settling
stuff?
all this stuff that
Help
probably
restore my house.
90% of
Figured it out.
Problem solved. Hire Saul's writers.
We're better
But
at
it is
this,
kind of fun that
obviously.
we're doing such speculation that we all have no idea what's going to happen.
It's
That's kind of
interesting.
new.
True.
That's what I like about the series now. It's diverged so much from the books that what the fuck could happen?
Yeah, and I
We
think
don't
this
know.
episode was like the most of that for me, where there was like just so much stuff happening that is so beyond the pale for the books, for the most part. I mean, we get some of it, like a little bit in King's Landing and things, but a lot of it is just completely like new. And there's good in that, but I'm worried a bit because one of the other things I noticed in this episode was that some of the logic in the scenes I feel like is fraying at the edges a bit. Like they're just not making as much sense to me, and maybe that's just my perception as like the book reader who expects things to happen a certain way. But I'm noticing a lot of little things that are off. Just attention to detail, like for like this scene, like how did Ramsay know that the old lady was working with Sansa? I guess he just guessed.
Because Theon brought him the candle.
But how would he know that she gave him her the candle? Like how
Because she was the
Maybe
one
she's her only
serving in Sansa's room.
Yeah, maybe she's the only one that's
Yeah,
been in there. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess
They're skipping steps to
right.
just
Yeah.
get to something really quickly. And
Maybe before, when they did that earlier in the show, we had book knowledge that we kind of overlooked.
yeah, we just filled
we're
in the
seeing
gaps.
it more now.
That's a very good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a very good point. I think that is kind of what I'm feeling.
I'm really curious if the show quality will seem to improve once they escape the released books and no longer have to, include this scene here and make sure this line gets said and some character has to do this, so we have to get them to here. All those little difficulties that sometimes make the show feel very strange and, little fingers, time machine, teleporter, that stuff might be smoothed out when they don't have to so closely follow text. I have my doubts because the text is partially what makes this show so great. But just a thought.
Yeah, we will see. In the meantime, we move to place near Winterfell in the north somewhere where we have Stannis' camp. As previously mentioned, we have Davos going into Stannis' tent to inform him that horses have died, 40 horses, and that the Stormcrows have abandoned them, made off because they don't want any more of this shit. And then we have him exiting Melisandre, tells Stannis that the only way out of this is to do some of her stuff. She saw it in the flames that the Bolton banners were being taken down, and that she stood on the battlements of Winterfell. But sacrifices need to be made to make this possible. And yeah,
We all know it's going to happen, but it's.
Yeah.
I don't think it can happen if Stannis is there when it happens, because if that whole father-daughter scene we got, he would not let that happen. So I think something's maybe there's like an assassin of the night, or he's out reconnoitering and they just go through with it. Like Selyse tries to do it behind his back, but
yeah, that could be it.
But not only that, his direct response was, "Are you crazy?"
yeah, and this
But he looks conflicted afterward.
Melisandre, rattled really, like she's like, oh wow, I didn't expect that response.
I think I'm not as much of a Stannis fan as you guys, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to do it at this point. I think that's not what he wants to do, obviously, but I could see him doing it. I could see him making that choice because he does look conflicted afterward, and this is his whole life wanting to win here, and he seems to at least genuinely believe that she can make that happen. It's just if he can get past the cost of it.
Yeah, but
Well,
then
no,
she
because
should
if
have
he
stuck
gets-
with him, and then he would have given in right afterwards. He would have been in her pocket.
Another thing this scene shows, though, is that Stannis has flaws, right? Like he is like sexually attracted to Melisandre. That is a thing, right? It's not
Is that a
character
flaw?
assassination to do that.
He's a man.
Yeah, it's like a negative aspect that he's so ensorcelled by her.
Well, hey,
If you're-
look
but
at
he wouldn't
John.
give up his only heir
Right.
just to
Yeah,
get
it doesn't make
the throne.
sense to me.
Sure, yeah, I'm not saying he's gonna do it. I think that you guys make a good case for why he wouldn't. And I think that whole idea of Selyse doing it behind his back makes sense. But I'm just saying it could happen, and I think that the scene with Shireen there is to show that it is more tragic that he would do that, right?
I think for it to happen, there would have to be some like great sign, or like there would have to be something
Sure.
where you go, oh,
Yeah.
gotta do it.
Oh,
now.
Balon's dead.
Like,
Okay, we're good now.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
I
but doesn't
wonder-
her blood also contain a grayscale?
Hopefully, it's
stone
not recessive,
dragon, right?
and it'll pass right into the shadow baby.
Becomes a
It
stone
looked like
shadow, maybe.
Don't try.
My big problem was the fact that Stannis' beard has grown, but Davos's hasn't. So it means like
Davos's
Davos
beard is
has
just-
found time to trim his beard, and while there's horses dying and men probably have some sort of malaria or typhus around him. So
Hey, he has
tropical
4
diseases in
less
the cold.
fingers to trim. He's got time.
The time saved is exponential.
point taken. All right.
Let's head down to another interesting place, Dorne, where we get first we get Jaime in his nice cell. Arya Hotah brings Myrcella in to satisfy his concerns about her well-being. Myrcella asks a very astute question: "Why is this happening at all?" I wondered the same. And
I've been here for years.
yeah, she's been here for years.
I've been here for 3 seasons,
Yeah.
Jamie.
And she'd like to stay.
I got recast. I've been here so long.
Yeah, you look different, Jamie. Speak for
Yeah.
yourself. You look quite different as well. But yeah, Myrcella, I'm sorry, guys. I just
You
can't.
say
do
it however you want.
Myrcella.
Say it.
I did do styrofoam
Weirdo.
last time
Like
around.
near
So
men.
I've known the odd pronunciation here and there.
Marcella.
So yeah, we get her. She wants to stay. She wants to marry Tristan, and it seems like she will not budge on that point. And Jaime just seems confused, doesn't know what to do, and that's the resolution, at least so far with this. So
Well, they left his door open when he left, which
It's just-
so he's obviously not
I
in
don't
a
know.
cell.
Yeah, it's like a stateroom. He's got like a whole floor to himself.
it makes
Yeah,
sense.
there
though,
are
right?
bars on the windows, so
Yeah.
it's kind of silly.
He doesn't seem in any danger.
Well, no, but that's the point though, because
Right.
I don't think Doran wants to piss off Cersei.
Exactly.
Yet.
It makes sense that they would treat him like this. I think that our perceptions might just be skewed a bit because of how bad things are going in King's Landing, but he still has accorded privileges. So any thoughts on this bit with Jaime? It's pretty, pointless, I feel. So.
I thought the dialogue was pretty painful.
Yeah.
It was a pretty typical teenager fighting with an elder. I thought it would have been really great if Myrcella yelled, the ultimate cliche of "You're not my real dad," and then Jaime looked really uncomfortable.
I was waiting.
Or Jamie's
for some
like,
sort of,
I am father, you listen to me.
I was waiting for the Maury moment. Look, all right, you know.
That's
Funny
going to happen, though.
how
Doesn't look like he could make
oblivious
it.
the Baratheon children seem to be about this. Joffrey seemed to know and be in denial. Tommen in this episode references Robert as his father with no hesitation. Myrcella obviously the same as far as we know. It's weird.
Joffrey just couldn't admit it, and Tommen was like 5 when all this.
Yeah,
started,
they were so young.
They're very sheltered people.
Now he's 17. It's weird.
Yeah, it's strange. He grew up fast.
Yeah.
He's the only
He's
character
still-
to truly get a 5-year jump.
And he was banging Natalie Dormer, so that's good.
That's
Well,
distracting.
He was. He was paying Natalie.
I'm in love with her mom.
I love her. All right, but first we get some more seduction. Bronn in the cell. He gets to finish the Dornishman's wife. Tyann is very impressed, so impressed that she does begin to seduce him, but reveals that she had poisoned him, and I guess you can make the argument part of this was to activate the poison with his increased heart rate, with how enamored he was.
Oh God.
Well, that seems like that was definitely the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And shows off some stuff. And Bronn's very impressed, and he does admit that she is the most beautiful woman he has ever seen, so that he can get the antidote on her neck. In the meantime, we do get the other sand snakes rolling their eyes like they've seen this kind of thing before.
How many men has she murdered just to get a compliment?
Like
Seems pretty common.
if she tossed him the antidote and she was like, that's not an antidote, and he just died in that scene, I would have liked this scene a lot more.
Because it seems weird, right? Why would she want to keep him alive?
It seems like they're almost wanting to team up with him and do something in the future, like have him join them.
Yeah, I think
what's the
there's
point
no
otherwise?
reason. There's no reason to kill him now because they're both in the same situation, and maybe she liked his voice or something. Like I get why she might want to save him. It was a very
Just
distracting
having
scene.
Bronn die
Very
while he's
distracting.
singing the song about a guy who died by a Dornishman, it would have been fucking perfect.
It would have
And
been.
I thought that's what they were doing, and then they literally threw the antidote.
And I would have hated it. I would have been like, oh no, Bronn, but I would have also been like, oh, it was so great, Like,
No, I don't want him to die. I love him. He's an amazing actor, and Bronn's awesome. But it would have just been fitting then. But who knows? I don't know he's just going to die when they try to break free. So it might just be trolling.
I
us.
hope not.
Bronn's alive, and now he's dead.
Yeah, I mean, just in
Then that
terms of
would've been
understanding what's gonna happen next, the Dorn stuff is just so weird, and I just can't predict. So I'm not gonna say that it was pointless right now, because maybe there is some kind of point, but it was strange.
Yeah, this needs to go somewhere because
Right.
it's currently this is so bad it's almost funny.
It's like a different show.
Isn't Tyene supposed to be really modest and like a septa?
No, I thought they condensed like most of the sand snakes into 3 people.
Yeah, they mash it all together.
And make them one person, basically. There's no distinguishing features, etc. Except for their weapons.
It was
Except
nice
for
to get them
boobs.
in this context, though. I thought it was kind of humanizing, or at least more interesting to get. I mean, it wasn't much, but it was something more for me where, like, they're rolling their eyes. Like, it gave them some like, implied backstory there. And
Yeah, a little character.
Yeah.
I still thought the scene was awful, as I said before.
Sure. Yeah.
Though it definitely nursed my pet theory that Bronn will be married to one of the Sand Snakes as his prettier
His
noble woman that Jaime. And weren't the Sand Snakes, Doran marries them off to like lords all over the kingdom. So, and there seems to be a lot of tension between Bronn and the Sand Snakes. So, problem solved.
It's very stupid.
And if you're having a like covert operation to get Marcel out of the water gardens, why would you have slow acting poison on your weapons to use against Dornish men-at-arms? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I think it's just like we always put poison on our weapons, so it's already there, and we got the antidote in case we slice someone we like. I don't know. Like there didn't really seem to be a point to it.
But if you're all we fight for Dorn or whatever, like you're not going to want to hurt.
Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. This guy brought us useful information. Torture him and put a spear through his head. Like, whatever, I mean, they don't make sense. They haven't.
At least
Sure,
they've been
it's consistent
with that.
nonsense. At least they're
Like
consistent.
this is better than what we've seen most of the season, but it's still, whatever.
I think at this point we just want to escape. We want to get out of this.
I can just picture like Brendan Tully like just waiting for Jaime to get back to him because he's just there's 2 seasons for him to
It's a
get
good
to.
story over here.
That would be awesome.
Like, just waiting here, waiting for the siege. We're all here, just waiting for Jaime to get there. And that's where he'll probably end up anyway after this whole long season. He'll still go to besiege Riverrun.
But yeah, the Riverlands, they need to be taken care of.
Let us move to Moraine, where we do have Jorah and Tyrion being sold off. We do get another awesome scene with our charismatic slaver guy. He was quite good here. The siege of a spike and whatnot. It was quite nice to see him.
So I'm confused here. Isn't one of the first things a slave owner would do, you would think, would be like inspect the new purchase and like
Yeah, look for
grayscale infecting everyone else?
Yeah.
Like you'd think that would be a big deal, or
It
he'd be
felt
like, "Here,
quite casual.
we've wrapped your hand up and don't touch anyone. We've taken precautions or something."
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few things that are weird in this slave auction scene. One for me is like, why would he stop the bidding? Why wouldn't he just see if it went a little bit longer? Like, sold for 20.
Amount of money. I don't want it anymore.
That's all I need.
It
Maybe
was
there was a
like
set.
30? Do I hear 30? No. 25?
There was a set buy it now price.
Yeah, they had to buy it every day. Yeah, there's a lot of little
They-
weird things again with this.
Like Tyrion beating the shit out of the guy that's completely bigger than him.
Well, yeah,
Well,
Like completely beating the shit out of him.
that was fine because he caught him off guard, but like, how does this prove that he's a good fighter?
And why would
Proves he has the
slave
balls.
I guess.
and why would slave traders and slave masters be happy that a slave is beating up the free guy? They would not be happy about that. They'd be like, he's very disobedient.
They all seemed quite
Because there
amused.
are no slaves in Marine. Right,
yeah.
guys?
Right.
Another weird thing.
Well, that's what he did. He did the token payment to
Right,
them.
yeah, token
He said,
payment
"Here's your
thing.
payment
Oh,
for the
you're
rest
not
of your life."
slaves. You're getting
He's
wages.
like, "Yeah, here's your salary."
But I feel like that Dany would see through this, right? Like this is pretty thinly veiled.
Maybe she's just writing off this whole chapter as like a painful must and ignoring all of the abuses surrounding it.
Sure. That makes sense, I guess.
She clearly didn't want to be there, so.
First, we zoom to Marine where we have a nice scene with Dany and Dario talking about her marriage to Hisdar. Dario does admit that he is jealous and makes some bloody suggestions as to what to do with all the masters when the time for the great games comes.
Where are the worthy masters from?
Where are they? What city are they from?
That's my only complaint.
So the one thing I'll say about the scene is I kind of like the fact that Dario is doing to Dany what Marjorie does to Tommen, right? So it kind of flips the cliche of like the femme fatale whispering in the ear of the protagonist to a masculine role. Because clearly, what he says to her is to advance his own position and his own agenda. And the question is, does Dany see that? So it creates a kind of interesting dynamic, or at least a change on a common trope.
And he's just presenting the option of violence is the solution to all your problems.
I thought
That's what he does.
his little maxim of ruler is either a meat or a butcher was not the case, but yeah, that's Dario. Right.
It also
In Slaver's Bay,
jump in
though.
logic that the Sons of the Harpy attacks have stopped now that Dany's married Hisdar, and that Dario seeding this notion that he's their leader. It seems very rushed to me.
Well, he's not thinking logically there, right? Because he's obviously jealous or whatever of his daughter, so it's more just him being spiteful.
Trying to sow
I thought that was
suspicion.
a joking jab or something instead of.
Yeah, it wasn't a serious, like, you should look into this.
Well, there's no hyperbole like no other Miranese characters.
It has to be either him or,
Yeah.
or
Those
that,
weird guys
that
with chains on their
prostitute.
faces.
They don't have all those people whose names sound the same.
Yeah. No Resnack, more Resnack.
The best.
He says that all rulers are butchers or meat, and later on in King's Landing, don't you think that Tommen looks a lot like meat?
Yeah, that was the
Even
thing
though
I think
he's
they were
trying
going for, right? Weak or strong-willed have to make
Right.
the hard choices. I guess it makes sense. Let us move to the last bit we get in Marine with the fighting pit, the qualifying lower fighting pit place, where we first have Yez prepping his men for their death, and they go out there and they see that Daenerys is here to view the spectacle, and of course they'll have to stand up a little bit straighter because the queen is here, and they do, and they begin fighting, and Jorah sees that Dany is not pleased with this. Of course, Jorah and Tyrion left behind in the little waiting room, and Jorah decides that he'll do something about this, and he breaks out. He begins taking out all of the men, non-lethal.
Jorah's Batman.
Yeah, Jorah's
He just
Batman.
infects them all with his grayscale.
Great.
Kills them slowly.
Jorah only kills people slowly, like the sand.
He's part of the A-team.
Yeah.
So we do get this moment here, and of course, eventually he reveals himself that he is Jorah, and Dany is not pleased. He was exiled, so not happy that he's back. But he says he has brought a gift, and the gift reveals himself to be none other than Tyrion Lannister, meeting Daenerys.
Who escapes improbably. Come on.
But he was
What the
helped
fuck
out.
was that?
He was helped out by his friend, the big man, who some people think is Belwaz. Cameo.
Just because he's a fat,
Just because he's fat.
Fat.
young guy.
He
He looks
us the
more like
bone.
Mord from Eerie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it is more.
Yeah.
Maybe it is more.
He's moved up in the world, or at least laterally.
Yeah, he wants to help out his pal Tyrion.
He did have a
and
cool
does.
looking weapon
He
that
did.
was apparently able to cut through chain very easily.
Well, that was part of the thing that people were saying, because it's like an arc kind of curved shape.
with a giant weight on the end.
Yeah, it was weird.
Valerian Mord.
Valerian Mord. I don't know what the point of that was. Like, why would this random guy, like, again, it's just these weird illogical
Yeah,
things.
that
Like,
was so silly.
why would he save him?
Just
Or
for the
like, yeah.
scene.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Just to keep-
none of it needed to happen anyway. Tyrion could have just sat there twiddling his thumbs.
But then
and
you wouldn't have Tyrion masturbating gifts.
Yeah,
exactly.
That was my biggest takeaway from
Nobody's
this.
those.
Once Jorah's like, look, here's who I brought you, and obviously they would go check and pull him out at that point. So this just saves some time, I guess.
So he can have his big dramatic, I'm the gift. Hello, hello. Meet Tyrion.
What's up? Heir to Castle Rock, I think. Still.
I think he's tainted of all his
He's like, well, if you're queen, I am, right?
Sure. So what did we think of this bit here? This
Did not
reveal?
want it. Did not want it.
Yeah.
It does seem like that slaver's financial calculations couldn't have been right if he buys slaves and then they all kill each other and he has one left and moves on to the next round.
Well, maybe the one that moves on to the next round would then win him a lot of gold by winning
Would be
the
worth
tournament.
exponentially more than all the rest.
Yeah, they clearly weren't selling tickets here.
No.
Nobody. We do, of course, get the return of Khaleesi as a title with Jorah, and he says,
What do you
"Khaleesi, a
expect?"
moment of your time. I just want to."
Well, that's her name, right?
I think so.
Yes, that is her name.
It's her first name, yeah.
Khaleesi Targaryen,
Stop.
Queen of the Elves.
First of her name.
God damn it.
Some people were saying that the fight choreography was weird. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was cool to see
I
Jorah
liked it too.
beaten to
I
death.
liked
I have
it.
no complaints. It's better than Dorne.
Yeah, it's better
Yeah,
than
it
that.
was a lot better.
Low benchmark.
He was wearing a helmet.
That he was. He was for safety.
He was, yeah.
For the covert operation.
Yeah.
Like, this is such a blatant ripoff of Gladiator. Like, condensed into a 5-minute scene. It's insane.
It's an homage. Mm-hmm.
Yes. They didn't say we who are about to die salute you. They said we're glorious queen.
And Danny didn't get to do the thumbs up or thumbs sideways.
Yeah.
Look at you. I'm the only one not complaining about how they didn't keep it Roman. So way to go, guys.
So, Greg, what did you think about it?
I quite enjoyed it, actually.
Excellent.
Well, except for the ending, though, right? Because it's just weird.
Well, yeah, no, the fighting scene was fine.
Yeah. It's strange to get them meeting. Obviously, this hasn't happened yet in the books. We get teased for it. We think it's going to happen, but it hasn't happened. So it was weird to just because we didn't expect it to happen in this episode. We expected it to happen in the last episode of Daznax, but we get it here.
Yeah, that's where I figured. But we were all teased like way early on with that scene of Dany and Tyrion sitting like on a cushioned chair. Everyone's like, "Oh, look, they're just hanging out, so they must have met early." But didn't it come out that was like an off-camera shot? That was just them like hanging out. So that's what I just assumed. But then that's obviously probably not going to happen. It is. They are going to be hanging out.
I mean, it makes sense because they have to set up what happens there. I guess they have to give it a chance for Tyrion to get into her good graces, and I think that they're setting up her making Jorah fight in the pit, right? So
this is like a Winds of Winter spoiler, but we expected it in Dance.
Yeah, we expected to see it in Dance for sure. Yeah.
Except Barristan probably wouldn't be dead.
Nope. Well,
it's different.
Because here she has no one, and you kind of feel like she should be like, Jorah, I'm really mad at you. Let's talk in private because I need help. Like,
well, maybe she'll get to that point, but I think she's blinded, by she's still upset with him, and I think it makes sense.
Yeah. And if you read D&D's comment on why they made this, it was basically like we were frustrated it didn't happen in the novel. We felt it was creatively necessary because we wanted it to happen, which that's an eye-roll worthy statement.
Yeah.
There's no fleet of ironborn ships.
There's a lot of stuff I wanted to happen that didn't happen. That I don't think that's an excuse for it to happen too early.
Tyrion finds a dragon egg, chapter 1.
Tyrion trains his dragon.
He's like on his own for a whole book and comes out with like a bigger dragon than everyone else because he's figured out the science.
Who's got a secret
Read the
dragon
books.
saddle?
Yeah, I know they don't like humans or sheep. They really love to eat rabbits, and it's hard for them to catch them though.
Just brewed up some growth hormone.
the show watchers who are not book readers probably want this to happen much more than us book readers. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong. It's anticlimactic, that's all. And it's anticlimactic to us because we see these two people as really important characters throughout the books. But to each other, Tyrion to Daenerys is almost nobody because he's just a minor Targaryen person. He's not even Tywin. She probably heard of Tywin Lannister, but I don't know.
Are you saying that Tyrion's a Targaryen?
Yeah,
Oh,
that was a
sorry, Lannister.
Freudian slip.
Yes.
Well,
Anyways.
that's also weird, like what Jorah's aim was, because is he bringing Tyrion to Dany as saying, look, this guy, this is the son of the man who killed you, who took part in destroying your house, kill him, and then Tyrion comes out like, yo, I'm here, I'm gonna help you. Like he would have to build up to that. I mean, I'm sure they'll show some of that, but it's weird that he's showing up like, you need me, where he should be like begging her to not kill him.
Yeah, I think his plan was kind of not really fully put together, and we kind of see that with how lackadaisically he was treating Tyrion. Like he didn't even care if he didn't get bought by the guy.
Yeah.
So he's definitely not thinking these things through here.
He's almost back to old Khaleesi, and he just don't care.
Yeah, old Khaleesi.
The grayscale's affecting his reasoning.
It does do that, doesn't it? That's what we learned from the show. It actually drives you crazy.
Well, eventually. I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah. Just a
He has
little
a
bit.
weak constitution.
Yeah, maybe. Let us move to King's Landing, where we do get Olenna meeting with the High Sparrow, trying to negotiate the release of her 2 grandchildren. But it turns out that, as we know, the High Sparrow cannot be bought, and Olenna pretty much hits a brick wall here with this strategy, so she is forced to reassess. And we do get the sort of the comment, the High Sparrow is like, everyone will be judged evenly. It's all about equality here, and the highest lord and the lowest peasant, everyone that breaks the law of the gods will be judged. And we also get an interesting sort of moment where Olenna threatens to cut off the supply of Tyrell goods to King's Landing, and he says that maybe that they're not going to be able to make that call soon, because if the Lowborn don't see that the Highborn have the power to direct them, then bad things happen.
Fuck yeah, occupy Westeros.
Yeah, occupy. That was definitely sort of my impression. All right.
I like
how they had that old people moment where they're like,
Oh, my hip.
My knees.
That was nice. Just 2 really good actors just playing off each other was cool. I'm really liking the acting for the High Sparrow, Jonathan Pryce. He's doing a really good job.
Dude, he's doing amazing.
The framing of them as silhouettes against the 7-pointed star was really nice, too.
It was a good shot.
I like it.
Do you think the sparrows are actually administering justice on all the small folk
Yeah.
that are also sinning, or do you think they're just going for high-profile targets?
Well, so Olenna makes
Because
this
they
point.
took out the brothel and were breaking people's casks and stuff, but are they actually imprisoning regular folks.
Olenna makes this point that the whole King's Landing is corrupt, so they would have to imprison everybody, basically. But it does feel like that they're being a little bit, maybe not fully equal on this. They are maybe even targeting certain people, like these highborn people, because they, have an axe to grind with the way things have been run.
If they are, you just don't see it.
True.
You won't, and people just won't see it anyways. Nobody cares. People care about Marjorie. People care about imprisoning the queen.
Yeah.
It sends messages. I think they're about sending messages.
That's true. That's a good point. It is kind of like, it's like, are you really equal though? Like, because there's so many other people that you should be persecuting. You're not. I think there is something to be said for there being a little bit. They're not. Their intentions are kind of flawed, obviously. But yeah.
Yeah. And the people
in the
love
books,
Marjorie.
they're bringing in like the bones of like the Septons that have been burned and raped and everything else from the wolves and the lions, and they're really like the 1% are going against the 1%. It's just like, nope, you didn't protect us like you said you could. And I think in the books, that's why Cersei was like, oh, well, yeah, you guys can have the right to bear arms, and now they are bearing arms, and no one likes it.
Hashtag Occupy Flea Bottom.
Hashtag Greg.
Hashtag Rick.
So we do get the next scene with... Well, first we get the ending of this bit. We get Olenna receiving a letter from Littlefinger, I guess it's kind of implied, Mockingbird, on the
A freaking huge letter. That was like a full long scroll, so he had a lot to say. In case she didn't know where it came from, he put the giant ass, Mockingbird seal on it too. So.
It included directions, that's why it was so large.
Yeah, it's hard to find that brothel. So we do get this next scene with Tommen. He is very upset at his inability to do anything about this whole situation for Marjorie, his lady love. He loves her. Cersei talks him down, as she has been doing a lot lately. Says, I'll handle it. I have the best intentions for you.
I got this.
I love you. You're my son, and I'll do it. Yeah.
I actually felt for Tommen a little bit in this scene. He probably doesn't love her. He's enamored with her, but he was generally at the end of his, it was kind of heartbreaking a little bit. I keep thinking what are the gold cloaks doing, because there's supposed to be 2,000 gold cloaks, and they're basically the Lannisters or Littlefinger's pocket, so they should be able to take out some freaking zealots with clubs.
What?
It can't be hundreds of thousands.
Well, no,
That's the point,
because
though.
in that scene
Cersei's
when
not
they're smashing everything else, they turn their backs because Cersei told them to.
Well, yeah, but now she can tell them not to when she realizes. Well, yeah.
Change
Well,
your
no,
orders.
Well, she doesn't want to.
Not
She
yet.
doesn't think
Right, not
she's in
yet.
danger yet.
And then she can't do anything about it because she obviously...
Tommen's the king. He could go up to some gold cloaks. Be like,
But Tommen is Tommen. He's having
he's got
trouble.
his 5 Kingsguard that just want to kill people. So
Yeah, we'll see what he does. Like now that Cersei's imprisoned, right?
Yeah,
That'll
next
be
episode
interesting.
he's just by himself.
Yeah, if he continues to have an action there, then it'll just be like he's totally passive, not doing
He'll
anything.
just distract them with Sir Pounds. He'll
Yeah.
let them play with them and sneak in to get Marjorie back.
Yeah.
There's an interesting callback in the episode where Tommen yells, I am the king, which Joffrey
Right.
yells at Tywin, and Tywin tells him anyone that has to yell that is not a true king. So it kind of cements the fact that Tommen is fairly powerless in the situation, not just because his mother is actively infantilizing him, but because the situation is dangerously spiraling out of control.
We do get that again with Cersei later. I am the queen.
Well, we get that with Marjorie last episode.
Yeah, so it's a thing across the board. Having to prove that you are in power, it kind of shows that you do not have power, as we are seeing here. We do get the next moment being Olenna meeting with Littlefinger in his ruined, destroyed brothel, where he kind of poses it's kind of weird, ambiguous. Olenna's like, I need your help, and if you don't help me and my house falls, I will tell them about your involvement in Joffrey's murder. And then Littlefinger says that he will help her in the same way he helped Cersei, with a handsome young man. And I wonder who this could be, because if it's Lancel, that is so stupid.
It's Lancel.
That's so stupid, though, because
Who else could it
Lancel...
be, though?
Well, I saw an interesting
Gendry.
theory that it could be Olivar's dead body, and of course with that he couldn't testify against Loras. But the thing that makes no sense with Lancel, though, is if he's already confessed this to the High Sparrow, why did it need Littlefinger and Olenna's prompting for the High Sparrow to persecute Cersei if he's already let go of this burden weeks and weeks ago? Why is this a new development?
And that it was something that Cersei didn't know about. And Cersei knew that Lancel was there and knew that she had slept with Lancel.
Yeah, and he kind of even tells her, he makes some veiled threats, and she doesn't... I mean, that's Cersei, though. She's blind to the consequences, but it's just strange that they needed to establish that, I guess, Littlefinger or Olenna is pushing this to happen. I don't understand that.
Sparrow wouldn't be swayed by anything that Olenna or Littlefinger said.
Exactly, right.
The High Sparrow's like, well, if they confess, they'll get the Mother's mercy. Do you think Lancel's got all his man parts?
Oh,
I don't think the mother takes man parts.
I don't know. Have you read the 7-Pointed Star?
If he's granted the Mother's mercy, Cersei after confessing the sins that he did, which are great.
Yeah.
You know,
Lance-
He probably
Lancel had-
scourged himself.
regicide.
Lancel had to walk around naked for a whole year to prove that he was
He
pure.
had to join them. That's his punishment.
Just I don't understand that logic if it's Lancel. It's just one of these things where I see like why? Like that doesn't make any sense for Olenna to be or for Littlefinger to be the catalyst for Cersei being imprisoned.
Well, I don't know, because Olivar apparently escaped unscathed for his buggery.
So yeah, I mean, this could be
Anyway.
showing that the High Sparrow is not as, he's not as put together as we see. Maybe he does have ulterior motives that he's just doing a good job hiding. I don't think so, but maybe that is what they're trying to say.
I do think it would be cool if he produces Gendry and tries to prove that the Tommen isn't Cersei's, or isn't Robert's son.
If he produced Gendry, that would be pretty awesome, yeah, I guess. Just to see him again.
But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, we will see. Moving to the last bit, or at least the last couple scenes we get in the show in King's Landing, is Cersei first bringing food to Marjorie in her cell, some venison. I felt like it should have been boar. I felt like that would have been more Cersei.
Yeah.
Either way, she ate it last night.
Yeah, she ate it last night. It was delicious, but Marjorie is not interested. Not totally against Cersei at this point, overtly against her, at least in this not public viewing. Calls her a hateful bitch as she throws the venison at her.
Do you think when you go into these jail cells, they just rub dirt all over you? Or is that like a gradual process? Because it's like you're clean or you're just covered in shit.
Yeah, I really think the whole Marjorie scene is just to set up what happens to Cersei at the end.
Because,
right?
of course,
show-
Cersei is so smug going out of
Yeah,
Yeah.
and really twist the knife on Cersei.
And we do get her then going to visit the High Sparrow, I guess just to hang out, because she obviously has no intention of doing anything for Marjorie. And the High Sparrow talks about how he's going to go through with the trial, that there's definite evidence to show that Loras and Marjorie are worth trying. And he turns the tables and says, what would happen if we took away all your finery? And Cersei just stands there stunned, like incapable of fathoming that she would be targeted. She tries to walk out of there, but the Septas do grab her, throw her in a cell. Septa Hyanella. Yeah, we do get her.
They
show,
could
right?
give Brienne a run for her money. That woman was tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite imposing. But yeah, we do get Cersei thrown in the cell, and of course, for people that don't like Cersei, this is definitely like a fist pump to see her finally get her comeuppance.
I was happy they ended it with this, because if they dragged that out for another episode, it would not have had the impact, I don't think.
Yes, Jonathan Pryce is an awesome actor.
Yeah, that scene is so good.
Yeah.
Well, that lingering shot on him with him saying nothing was priceless.
And it was some really
priceless. Priceless.
cool. As far as I. Priceless. Very nice. Hashtag Greg. It was.
Fuck off. You.
Oh, he's turning.
It was some. It was some very cool invented exposition, as far as I know. The whole idea of there being a shrine in the middle of the Sept of Baelor that he built around. It was kind of older and more basic, and that was a cool little bit to sort of give him more detail. I like that.
No, I think it's like exactly like where Chryse is supposedly entombed, where they built this huge cathedral over a very
Right.
simple tomb.
I was just gonna praise Lena Headey's facial expressions throughout when she's kind of contemplating what's going on and looking both ways and like, what's going on here? What's this now? Okay.
It was quite amusing and effective.
I wonder if that scene was shocking to some of the show watchers who believed that Cersei was actually controlling the High Sparrow. Because all the other characters in the show are under the impression that he's her puppet and that they're doing whatever she wants them to do. And the interactions between them, you could take it away that there's kind of a wink and a nod going on between the two of them, but we know that they're acting independently of each other. So I wonder what a show viewer took away from it.
I'm sure there were plenty of people like, yeah, finally, Cersei finally gets what's coming. I think that the way they're kind of establishing it makes sense that they would think that he is not in her pocket. It seems like he is above that. I think they did a good job kind of making that point.
Mm-hmm.
Are we getting the Walk of Shame next episode, do you guys think?
Kind of quick, but maybe.
Maybe.
Episode
The way things
9?
are going, either she's not in next episode, or I think it happens next episode.
I guess maybe what they could do is next season bring Kevin, or next episode bring Kevin back, and he can say, these are your options if you want to get back in a position and do that whole thing.
That would be good. Do a quick check-in with Tommen in a small council, now completely devoid of counselors, basically.
It's just Tom in there.
Tommen and Pycelle.
So,
Tommen and Qyburn.
Pretty much. Creepy duo and Tommen. God. So good thing Kevin shows up before something unforgivable happens.
Trying to think of a good
see-
pun here. I don't think 2.5 Maesters works, but it's close.
I'd love to see Qyburn go and talk to the High Sparrow. That'd be a good talk.
That would
Very
be
different worldviews.
That would be a good one.
Why would that happen, though, is the thing. What would his impetus be?
To talk to
Gotta-
Cersei.
He's got to introduce Frank and Gregor for the final scene.
Yes.
Yeah. That could be a good thing there.
You know, there's nothing in the 7-pointed star about zombies, is there?
Not mentioned. I didn't see it in there.
I'm sure
Yeah,
defiling the dead is very explicitly listed in.
Yeah.
What if he never died?
I guess.
Definitely not up on my 7-pointed star.
No.
I thought it would have been funny if they threw Cersei in Marjorie's cell, and she was like, "Oh, welcome back."
No, we're kind of running out of space here.
Would you like some venison?
Or if there was like a gate at the bottom so that Marjorie knew she was in there, something to let her know that now they're both screwed together. I think you're right. That would be good.
I think her offense isn't all that. You know, it's like at this point, I could easily see. I mean, they waited so long to bring Cersei in. This guy's clearly bent. He's supposed to be incorruptible, but he's got his own rules that he's playing by.
Yeah.
And the people love her. Like, I just can't see her staying in there very long. I mean, maybe she's not released yet, but I feel like she's out of there pretty soon.
I do feel like she's most likely to, the trial is not going to end in her, anything bad happening to her necessarily. I don't think she's out yet, but yeah, I think that she'll probably come out of this pretty clean.
Yeah, I can't imagine her like walking through the streets of King Landing and people like throwing shit on her, saying, "Liar, you lied, you lied." Like, there's so much other crap.
You lied under oath.
Yeah.
Who would do
They're gonna
that?
be like, please, walk your
Marjorie.
I'm throwing my own food at you.
I'm starving, but you can have this tomato.
Yeah, I don't think that perjury compared to everything that Cersei's done, Marjorie will get off okay.
And also, it's like he said, she said. Perjury, is it though? Even if they find Loras guilty, did she really know? This guy just says she did. So
Right, like I said last week, all they have is this one witness that was a squire that could have seen his birthmark anytime that he was dressing him for war or armor or whatever.
They could
and
go
he has no standing. He has no they act like he's like some impugnable. He's also guilty of what you're accusing Loras of.
In terms of there being not much evidence, I mean, they could just go full like kangaroo court kind of thing here, where they don't even take any kind of testimony seriously, and they just sentence them because they do have some kind of agenda. I think that's plausible.
And what if at the end of the day it's really because they knew about Cersei all along, so that's like their end game, and all of this was really just their game. So okay, so Loras, hey, just confess and we'll give you mercy, and you pay us a penalty, and bad, and then they send him away. Don't be doing that no more.
Cersei would be so upset.
Using the Tyrells as bait that Cersei would have to come and gloat over so they could catch her.
Yeah. They'd let her like tie her own rope a bit, they had to he had to get what he wanted out of her first too, right? But I mean, because he had to know. I mean, Lancel's been there the whole time. He had to know every conversation. He was thinking this in his head. So
was the whole plan just to get her in the sept? Was that the
she's been in the sept before. I think there's probably things that they wanted to be reinstate the Faith Militant and gain a little power, and by Cersei allowing them to arrest Marjorie and arrest Loras and all this, and Tommen's shown impotent, it actually gives them more legitimacy.
That's a really good point, and that's why that makes so much more sense than Olenna being like, there's stuff going on with Cersei too. That makes way more sense than that.
Yeah,
and I think that's the way I'm interpreting it. I hope they don't be like, I Littlefinger, I activated the Lancel card.
Yeah, you've activated my trap.
I believe we are finished here. Good episode, I think. I think the resounding feelings I'm getting from you guys on this was meh for episode 7 here, the gift. I guess that makes sense. I hope that we get a bit more of an upswing on these last 3. Typically, that's kind of when things get rocking. Looks like we do get hard home next time around, so it'll be interesting to see how the show does that. That is it, guys. Thank you for listening to DragonCast. Thank you guys for joining me, and we'll be back next week for episode 8, Hard Home. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.